2021 was one of highs and lows for the African continent in so many ways. In this edition of the program, we will continue our review of the key sectors in 2021 and projections for 2022. I am Charles Alpha, welcoming you to Africa Weekly. Security was a major issue for the West African and the Sahel region in 2021. While a lot were done to bring stability to area to enhance economic growth, an area that was previously neglected was rekindled. The role of youth in security, particularly at the community level. The ECOWAS and UNOWAS Youth Summit in Abuja, Nigeria was a major step forward in that direction.
The theme for this second forum, young women and men at the heart of innovation and construction of peaceful and resilient societies, aimed at discussing the initiative and the means to be implemented to strengthen the contribution of youth in building peaceful, resilient and prosperous society in West Africa and the Sahel. During the forum, about 200 young women and men from 14 countries addressed various themes such as the necessary collaboration between the authorities and young people to strengthen good governance, democracy and development, as well as the contribution of youth in building and the Sahel. Muhammad Saleh reaffirmed needs to measure to further support young people. Innovation by the youth as a strategic tool to strengthen peace and development should be considered as a priority, he said during his intervention. He also reiterated the commitment of the United Nations and UNOWAS to remain mobilized to provide, in collaboration with ECOWAS and other partners, the necessary support to help young people fully play their role in democracy and development in West Africa and the Sahel. Young women and men presented at the forum launched the Abuja Call to Action for building peaceful and resilient societies in West Africa and the Sahel. The Abuja Call to Action contains a series of recommendations that have been formulated to the attention of the authorities of the countries and partners in the sub-region. The forum saw the participation of the chairman of the Abuja Municipal Area Council, entrepreneurs of the Nigerian government, diplomatic corps, civil society organizations, ECOWAS and the United Nations system in Nigeria.
All right, joining us now via Zoom from Lagos is a member of Nigeria House of Representatives and a youth development advocate, Shina Pella, to discuss this issue on Africa Weekly. Honorable, we are glad to have you on Africa Weekly.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
All right.
I wish 2022 is good to us all.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, let's begin this conversation by having your perspective on how the year 2021 panned out for Nigerians, specifically the youth.
Yes, when you're talking about 2021, of course, there are a lot of ups and downs. But for the youth, I always say to people, there is nothing that has a positive side that did not have a negative side. But as a progressive-minded person, I like to focus more on the positive sides. So that I'm going to talk about this, so that at least we can instill the spirit of hope, in young people. It is better to look at definitely the positives, of the year 2021. Of course, one part of 2021 that is great for Nigeria is I can say Burna Boy's Grammy. Burna Boy got a Grammy, being a young artist from Nigeria. I believe is a source of hope and inspiration, to young Nigerians that are talented and looking forward to make themselves superstars in the future. Also, in the year 2021 was Wizkid's sold out show, which is unprecedented, where you have a Nigerian African artist selling out O2 Arena for 3 days consecutively. I believe this is another source of hope and inspiration to the younger generation. We cannot talk about 2021 without talking about coronavirus. Coronavirus also came in during the year 2020, and we are still battling, coronavirus to this time. But during this year, I believe that the issues of coronavirus developed the interest, of young people in digital technology to drive their business enterprise. I also talked about, in 2021 is the startup bill. The startup bill, which seeks to promote, advance, and support tech entrepreneurs, is already, a step, in the right direction.
Thank you so much. I haven't, outlined some of these achievements of 2021. Let's go to the issue of insecurity, for instance. The issue of insecurity was a major challenge for many parts of Nigeria in 2021. Now, how would you say this affected the citizens in the affected states?
Insecurity is a huge setback, to us in Nigeria. And, it is something that is affecting the whole nation from the north, to the south. But one area that I know that insecurity has really affected us as citizens and as a nation is the ability of not having the farmers, being able to go to their farm. And of course, this will lead to shortage of food supply within the country. And also, insecurity really affected the free movement of citizens from one part of the country to another, which definitely will give a negative effect in the economy. And of course, you cannot talk about insecurity without talking about the internally displaced persons. Yeah. Insecurity has internally displaced people from their family and made them end up, to, take refuge in IDP camps.
Yeah. Okay. Now, many people have linked insecurity with youth unemployment. How do we engage youth more in 2022 to overcome these challenges?
Yeah. You agree with me that youth unemployment definitely results in insecurity. Like they say, an idle mind is devil's workshop. So I believe that it is time for the government, to keep the youth busy by engaging them in skill acquisition. We have seen that we don't have, the blue-collar jobs available anymore. So as a youth are leaving university, I think it is not just enough, for youth to carry their certificate, but I believe the youth should be given an opportunity, to acquire skills. I believe this is the time that the government should create clusters in business within the production line. For example, bakery. So instead of you giving money to people and you have, for example, an association of people in the bakery business, you can use that money to drive, other production enterprise, by giving them money to drive more production. For example, maybe a company that is doing that produces flour. Okay. So instead of you giving people 20,000, you can give the money, to the company that does flour for them to increase their production level. All right. And have them to be able to supply that as raw materials, to, people in bakery, and you can create a continuous system, where you can easily give people materials, for them to produce their end result and the end product. Okay. So I think the government should just get, the youth engaged in order to drive, in order to reduce the level of insecurity in the country.
Okay, now, Honorable, you have spoken about how the government, can, take care of this. But now you talk about the youth themselves. How can they, be used to solve this problem that they are heavily linked with?
Yeah, first of all, I believe that the youth should see themselves as problem solvers. Like they say, if you are an entrepreneur, you're a problem solver.
Okay.
If you are a leader in a community, you're a problem solver. So an average youth today should see him or herself, as a problem solver within his community. And this will explain why I align myself with a vision of an organization like the Lead Generation Initiative. Gives an opportunity to develop a new generation of leaders in Nigeria. When I say new generation of leaders, giving opportunity to young people to divert their creativity, to divert their attention to building their immediate community. This is what the Lead Generation does. So we go to a particular state, we identify like minds, we put them in a structure where we have an average of about 2 to 3 people per local government, and we bring it to train them. The first thing we'll do is to train them on active citizenship, because a lot of young people today do not even know their rights as citizens. Also, we train them on how to develop their interest in nation building.
In terms of security and economic development, what are the hopes for Nigeria for the year?
First empowerment that we did, it was in the agricultural sector. And the reason why I decided to bring, agricultural sector forward was as a result, to the COVID-19 pandemic and the peculiarity of my area. I represent an area where that occupies the largest land mass area within my state, and of course, the land is agrarian, so which greatly makes most of my constituents during this time to give them about farming equipment and get efficiency, and also they can be able to make use of the large land that we have as an advantage. And also we gave equipment, hospital facilities, to basic healthcare centers, and also rendered a lot of health facilities, to my constituents. So, okay. But moving forward, planning and educational empowerment.
Okay.
Also, looking at the young people, giving them an opportunity in sports.
Thank you, Honorable, for your time and your thoughts. This program, Africa Weekly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, my brother.
Okay. All right, that was Dr. Shina Pella speaking to us via Zoom from Lagos and sharing his thoughts on happenings of 2021 and projection for 2022. Now, up next is Tidbits, but that will be after the break. Please do stay with us.
President Muhammadu Buhari says Nigeria is prepared to make as much sacrifice as possible for the Republic of Mali within the requirements of Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. This was while receiving a special envoy from the transitional president of the West African nation, Colonel Assisi Goita. The president also granted audience to the ECOWAS mediator to Mali, former President Goodluck Jonathan.
We take you to Guinea-Bissau now, where President Okaro Sissoko Embaro received the medical personnel sent by President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria to assist Guinea-Bissau health sector. They are under the Nigeria National Aid Corps program.
The medical doctors on arrival were led to the presidential palace by Nigeria's ambassador to that country, John Osaga, who now presented them to President Sissoko Embalo.
I have the honor and singular privilege to present to Your Excellency the first batch of the medical doctors deployed to Guinea-Bissau in fulfillment of the technical aid agreement signed between Nigeria and the Republic of Guinea-Bissau. We are happy that today we are deploying medical doctors as against the deployment of troops. Nigeria is very happy with the peace that has been achieved in this place. It is our hope that this peace will be lasting for us.
President Sissoko Embalo had always referred to President Muhammadu Buhari as a father whom he always consults for advice and counsel. And for his request to be granted by President Muhammadu Buhari, he told the medical doctors to feel at home.
I am very happy to receive you here today. Well, this is my policy in the health sector, which resulted from my relationship with my father, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari. When I informed him about my goal, he said to me, "My son, Guinea-Bissau and Nigeria are two brother countries, and that is the reason why you are here today. For me, the most important is to say to this team that you are at home. You are not foreigners in Guinea-Bissau. Feel free at home because you are here to support your Guinean brothers and to help give them better health to our population. You will soon start to work with our medical doctors, and I hope you build good friendship. I have already told our medical doctors that you have not come here to replace them, but yes, to assist them. That is why I said you have my total support."
The doctors will be under the supervision of the Ministry of Health for further directives.
Now to Sudan, where Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok resigns following another round of street protests at the capital, Khartoum. Sudan's Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok announced his resignation Sunday amid a political deadlock and widespread pro-democracy protests following a military coup that derailed the country's fragile transition to democratic rule. Hamdok, a former UN official seen as the civilian face of Sudan's transitional government, had been reinstated as Prime Minister in November as part of an agreement with the military following the October coup. In that time, he had failed to name a cabinet, and his resignation throws Sudan into political uncertainty amid uphill security and economic challenges. In a national address on Sunday, Hamdok called for a dialogue to agree on a national charter and to draw a roadmap to complete the transition to democracy in accordance with the 2019 constitutional document governing the transitional period. He said he decided to return the responsibility and declare his resignation as Prime Minister, adding that his stepping down would allow a chance for another person to lead the nation and complete its transition to a civilian democratic country. The Prime Minister said his efforts to bridge the widening gap and settle disputes among the political forces have failed. He warned that the ongoing political stalemate since the military takeover could become a full-blown crisis and damage the country's already battered economy. 4 months after al-Bashir's ouster the general, and the protesters reached a power-sharing deal to rule the country through elections in 2023. However, military-civilian ties have been frayed by the military takeover that has threatened to return Sudan to international isolation. Hamdok's resignation comes amid a heavy security crackdown on protesters, denouncing not only the takeover but subsequent deal that reinstated him and sidelined the pro-democracy movement. He was returned to office in November amid international pressure in a deal that calls for an independent technocratic cabinet under military oversight led by him. The resignation of Sudan's prime minister puts the military firmly back in control of the country, but facing a population angry that its hopes for democratic rule have been set aback yet again. President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria had a conversation with the newly elected Vice President of Interpol of Africa, Nigeria's AIG Garba Baba Umar, where he challenged him to use his new position to assist in the fight against insurgency.
The Interpol Vice President for Africa, who is also an executive committee member of the organization, was formally presented to the President by the Minister of Police Affairs, Muhammad Maigari Dingadi. The minister had told the President that AIG Garba Baba Umar had always distinguished himself in the service in various capacities, and his election into the Interpol Executive Committee was well merited. President Muhammadu Buhari congratulated the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, who was also at the event, for having one of his men representing the whole of Africa at the Interpol. He urged the IGP to take advantage of the opportunity towards galvanizing the Nigeria police, especially the officer corps, to put in more efforts at addressing the challenges of security confronting Nigeria. The President also extended warm felicitations to the new Vice President of the Interpol, urging him not to relent in his efforts at keeping the nation's flag flying. AIG Garba Umar was elected Vice President of the Interpol for Africa on the 25th of last month at the organization's 89th General Assembly.
That's our package this week on Africa Weekly. Many thanks to you for being part of it. I am Charles Alpha.